It's a great time for us at Castile. We've just had a research note put out on us that I'll talk about in a little bit by a company called Blue Ocean, and obviously looking for some wider coverage and getting the word out there as to what we're doing. We're a gold, copper company, first and foremost, but we have some wonderful critical minerals to back us up and back up the valuation that we're going to be talking about at the end. So it's an IOCG deposit. It's in the Northern Territory. We're straight into the video, are we?
Yes, that's the video.
All right, bang, easy. Even better. We can probably turn the music down, or I can sing over the top or talk over the top. But this will give you just a 2-minute look at where we are now, and then I'll talk about what we're doing and what's happening at the moment. So we're located in the Northern Territory, Tennant Creek, the richest copper gold field in the world. We've got 1,000 square kilometres of tenements. We're going to zoom in on our flagship project, which is providing all the value, which is the Rover 1 project. And you'll see very well drilled out. And as I say, we've got about 11 years of reserves there now, which will bring in about $4.5 billion worth of revenue over that time. And we're looking to increase that as well. And I'll show you how as we work through the presentation. So extremely high grade gold and copper. But as I said, we have these bonus byproducts. Nothing new that we're inventing about mining here. These are 25 metre intervals, 40 metre stopes. Very typical underground mining. Starts at about 240 metres below surface. At the moment it goes down to 1,000 metres, but will go down further. We haven't hit the average depth of Australian underground gold mines at this point in time, or West Australian underground gold mines. So ignore these numbers, they're now obsolete. I can talk about an IRR now of 65%, and as I said, total revenue of $4.5 billion over the first 11 years. Again, we're not reinventing anything with our processing pathway, and I'll explain a little bit more about this on a still, but as I said, we have 4 different products, or 5 different products now. There's one bulk concentrate that comes from our process plant at site, and you're looking at that now. Also a magnetite product. This is a second different processing plant that's been designed to refine or take the metal downstream, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to produce LME grade copper, 99.75%, gold in a doré, cobalt sulfate. That will probably be a metal now with some news that I've got or put to the market in the last couple of weeks.
Total capex on the 2 plants?
Total capex in our pre-feasibility study, the capex was 280 million Australian dollars, which includes everything in a contingency. Includes, yeah, for everything. Includes digging the hole. In the research note that we had done, we said to the guy, add 30% to that, 350 million. So you're still getting an IRR of 65% and revenue of $4.5 billion over 11 years with that, even putting up the capex. So what I also want to talk about is how we're going to reduce that capex potentially by about 100 million, and that's something that we have announced recently. So just quickly to move through this, we are highly leveraged to gold and copper. I don't want you to lose track of that. We have ore reserves for the first 11 years, and we're looking to extend that now with some work that we've done. And it's copper and gold, but cobalt and bismuth is the big one. That's what we're getting all the attention for at the moment. We also do a magnetite product as well. 5 revenue streams, as I said, about 450 million a year for the first 11 years, and we'll be looking to extend that, as I said. So incredibly rich Tennant Creek iron oxide copper gold deposit. You can see there's some of the intercepts. 7 metres at 120 grams or 4 ounces, 30 metres at 1 ounce, 10 metres at 2 ounces. And on the copper side, 21 metres at 7%. They are phenomenal grades. It is a high grade, extremely high grade deposit. That's why it's so profitable. We'll only be mining at a rate of probably around 600,000 tonnes per year. And you can see why we're going to increase that from our PFS, but just incredibly profitable. So again, just do some basic maths, some back of the envelope stuff. In our PFS, we've said we'll produce 30,000 ounces of gold a year and 7,000 tonnes of copper. We're now going to push that up to 35,000 ounces and 8,000 tonnes by just some of the work that we've done with our mineral resource estimate, which I'll show you in a minute. These are the co-products. So bismuth attracting all of the attention. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Cobalt, we're probably going to do a metal there, and then there's the magnetite product at the end. They're the rest of that revenue that I'm talking about. So just to reconfirm, there's about 320 million of revenue a year, and we'll pick up about another somewhere between 100 and 120 depending on prices for these and depending on what we do with our bismuth. So about 3 weeks ago we released that we added 40% to our mineral resource, and we're now pushing that extra 40% through into those reserves. So when I said that these are reserves, as I said, we're looking to push these up to 35,000 ounces and 8,000 tonnes of copper a year. And that's over 11 years. Reserves, just to be clear there. So you can see we've increased that gold there by 26,000 ounces and the copper by 14,000 tonnes. That's what we're pushing into that reserve. Okay, as I talked about, I'm not reinventing anything here. I'll just make sure I don't knock anything over. So comminution, crushing, grinding, a magnetite product goes straight from site to Port of Darwin. A single bulk concentrate goes up the line to Darwin that contains the copper, the cobalt, the gold and the bismuth. And we refine it in Darwin at our facility there. But there's options now as to where we can build that facility. Clearly the focus of critical minerals, whilst the Australian government talks about it, there are other governments that actually require these critical minerals, and we're talking to them. Bismuth. So bismuth is the strongest anti-magnetic known to man. China in March said we are placing it under a total ban, and they changed it to a controlled export ban. If you are using it for civilian purposes, or if you're using it for medical imaging, you get your bismuth. China produce 85% of the world's refined bismuth, so they decide who gets what. If you're using it for military, defence, or you are stockpiling it, you no longer get any bismuth. So you can see here the rest of the world makes about 2,500 tonnes of refined bismuth a year, and China absolutely dominates. So what we are doing is, we've announced this, we are partnering with a company in Southeast Asia, which is about a $1.2 billion mining and processing company. We want to produce downstream bismuth. We'll end up producing between the two of us about 1,700 tonnes of it a year. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but if China turn the tap off, all of a sudden there's 3,000 left. We'll be producing 1,700. We'll be 50% of the world's supply of refined bismuth, and the world will be in trouble. We all thought it was this, that they used it in their guided missile program. So they're using it because it's the strongest anti-magnetic known to man. It repels magnetic fields. China launches a missile that's got bismuth in it, if you like. Interceptor missiles automatically go up. Because they repel magnetic fields, the interceptor missiles can't find and hit their proximity switches and stop the Chinese missile. So all your Golden Dome and all that, obsolete now. Because China are the only ones that have used it in their program. We all thought that was the reason they did it. It wasn't. They've actually now announced that they've produced a microchip with bismuth oxyselenide in it. So it's 40% faster, and it's two-dimensional, so wafer thin, two-dimensional, and it is 10% more efficient on power and therefore cooling. So this is far superior to anything that NVIDIA or Intel or those guys have got, and China are now testing it in commercial applications, and we haven't heard anything yet as to why they wouldn't go ahead, but if they do, that's it. There'll be no more bismuth for anyone. China will have won the chip war, if you like. As we know that Washington and Beijing have been in this. This is during Biden administration, etc. This has been going for 5 or 6 years now. The US has been providing inferior chips to China, and during that time they've invented this. So it is on. That's why we're getting so much interest in bismuth, and it's such a small market. Again, this is our plant at site at Rover. Of our capex we're talking over here, this is about 120 mil of the 280, and that's, as I say, that includes the low intensity mag sep for the magnetite product. And this plant here in this facility in Darwin, that's about 90 million, so up to about 210 there, and the rest is digging the hole, getting everyone together. That's the 280. But again, when you have the sort of profitability that we're talking about now, just with the rise in prices of that revenue of sort of between 420 and 450 million a year, and I have a research note from, as I said, from Blue Ocean, which has done the work, and they valued us at $1.37, our share price, and we're currently trading at about 11. So there's a value gap to make up, and this is why people talk about capex. It's that Lassonde curve, which believe it or not, we were talking about on the bus, amongst other things today. We're in the reality stage. We've got hard numbers, hard figures, and we're ready to go. So we're getting term sheets now, not only from NAIF, North Australia Infrastructure Fund, who have funded Arafura to about 65%, which is their MO. But as I said to a couple of guys on the bus today, we're looking for a partner now. So we've been approached at this point by a company that already makes bismuth. So we're looking now to do a downstream bismuth facility at their facility, because they're already producing a bismuth concentrate. We send our stuff up, and as I said, so now they're going, well, hang on a minute, what about your cobalt? What about your gold and copper? CIL, we'll do it. And so all of a sudden they're looking at us, instead of going, well, we just wanted to do one little bit with you, now they're potentially going to do the lot. And that's what I'm talking about. Other countries are actually doing things, whereas Australia is just talking about $8.5 billion worth of critical minerals development. And guess what? We have none. Australia does not produce any critical minerals. Produce a lot of critical mineral ores and concentrates, but nothing downstream. So it's a little bit of a dream. Just to finish off, we are very active also in the exploration space. Get all technical again, but this technology is called ambient noise tomography. We're the only company in the world that has access to it, because we've helped this firm called Odyssey Geophysics create it in the last 2.5 years. We've been doing R&D with them. It works, doesn't work on gravity or magnetics. It works off literally out of seismic noise. So it picks up when the GAN going up the train, when waves are crashing into the Great Australian Bight. Those seismic waves get sent through the entire country, and these seismometers can read them. It is amazing technology. So I don't necessarily have time to go through that now, but if you're interested in talking about that, this is incredible. This is cutting edge technology. And as I said, it is purpose built to find what we are looking for. That's our mine, Rover 1. And we've got 100 signatures that we're going to do surveys on literally pick them out on a priority basis and run this technology over each one of these black dots. And we basically get a 3D cross-section, like an ultrasound of a baby. If it's literally a 3D picture of it with no interference from gravity or magnetics. So it is incredible. So this is Tennant Creek. This is, as I said, the richest copper gold field in the world. We think we've got a repetition here undercover of about between 100 and, I guess, goes down to about 200 the cover. That's how we found Rover. So we are going to explore this, and meantime we are getting this project done. We'll finish the bankable feasibility study in about 4 months, and so we're out there getting terms, papers and terms now. And that's basically it. So copper gold, let's not forget that. That's what this company does, that's what we'll be producing. But these wonderful critical minerals that just come up as byproducts, that's a real strength of our company. We'll be using those byproducts in our funding as well, potentially with some offtakes. Bismuth, the world's gone mad on bismuth at the moment, and as I said, we're in funding discussions now with obviously with NAIF, who we've been working with for 2.5 years, and then it'll be about getting that other 30%. And we're going to use a lot of debt here. There will be no big dilution of shareholders to fund the development here. No one does that anymore. The ASX is not really open for that sort of thing. So we'll do the hard bit, and share price will do the easy bit. Thank you very much.